All right. All praises, all praises. Shalom, everybody. Shalom. Yahabashem Yahushua Barakatah to everybody in the chat, all our brothers and sisters here that are going live with us tonight in class. I'm Captain Shazael, all right. Got a couple of young lions with me that are going to do the reading. And, as you can see, the title of this is To Honor Your Husband, You Must Be Submissive. Okay? You must be submissive. Now, if everybody can get them likes up, we can get everybody to like and share and subscribe. We sure would appreciate it to get the algorithm out so other brothers and sisters can get this, get this work and see this class. And I definitely I highly appreciate it. All of my brothers and sisters that are here in class with us. Shalom, shalom. We're here to spread this word to our brothers and sisters who are the true children of Israel, who are so-called Blacks, so-called Mexicans, and native indigenous Indians of Seminole and Negro descent who are the true children of Israel, written of in the scriptures. Now, this topic is one of those topics that's talking about dealing with relationships. Okay. Now, I'm not speaking to women who don't want to be wives. I'm not speaking to you. I'm not speaking to women that want to be single for the rest of their lives. Not talking to you either. Okay. I'm not speaking to women that want to jump from man to man. Not talking to you. All right. I'm only speaking to women who are wanting to be wives and to be wives in righteousness according to the Lord, and who want to be better wives to their husbands. Those are the women I'm speaking to tonight. Okay. See, here at KOY, we do a lot of raising the men up. Okay. With counsel and teaching and classes and things of that nature. But the man can only be truly lifted up if his woman is his helper, if he has the support of his woman. Okay. She's got to have his back. Your woman's got to have your back. Why? Because we have an oppressor that's trying to stop everything that you are doing to have and live a better life. That's just what it is. If you don't have that in your life, you have to understand that there's an oppressor that's trying to keep you and your family from having and doing everything you can to live a better life. All right. Everybody needs to understand that. We go into these topics to make sure that we get a clear-cut understanding on relationships. We're coming in a time of the Feast of Dedications. When you talk about the Feast of Dedications, you talk about rededicating yourself to the Most High. You talk about rededicating yourself to your nation. You talk about rededicating yourself, your life, and your spirit, and your faith and your walk. And one of those things in times of rededication is that time of rededication between the man and the woman, and between brothers and sisters who are wanting to form this union and build a family. Okay. These are things that we got to definitely take a look at and be serious about. Okay. We got to definitely be serious about these things. Shalom, Sister Brown. Facts. Shalom, Sean. Shalom, Stephanie. I want to make sure you all kind of understand where we're coming from with this, because a lot of times when you go online and you see people talk about relationships, there's a lot of unlearned madness that goes on amongst Israel. Okay. And I got Officer Emmanuel kind of helping out, moderating the chat. Yahabashem Yashabrakta. Appreciate you, my brother. First scripture I want you to get is Genesis 3:1. We're going to start there. Okay, we're going to start at Genesis 3:1. And I want you to get Matthew 7:15. Okay. Go ahead, bring out Genesis 3:1.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahweh Elohim had made.
Mm-hmm.
And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath Elohim said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden?
Mm-hmm.
And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden.
Mm-hmm.
But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die.
Stop right there. So we're seeing here Eve, the classic story of Eve in the garden talking to a serpent. This isn't a snake. Okay. This is a man. She's talking to a man. And you see her reiterate the law because the Heavenly Father already told Adam what he can and can't eat in the garden, and he taught his wife. Okay. So she knew what she should and shouldn't be doing. But and this is the proof because she just repeated it. All right. Go ahead, read on.
And the serpent said unto the woman, You shall not surely die.
So she said, if we eat from that, we're gonna die. And the serpent said, are you surely gonna die? He's asking her, are you sure? You sure about that? Go ahead.
For Elohim doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open.
Then what?
Then your eyes shall be open.
Then your eyes shall be open. Go ahead.
And ye shall be as gods.
As ye shall be as gods. Go ahead.
Knowing good and evil.
Knowing good and evil. See, and that's the difference. Because when you know the difference between good and evil, you can make a choice. Whether you're going to follow evil, whether you're going to follow good. Even though you're appointed one or the other, your eyes are open to that. You know?
Verse 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food.
When she saw what?
The tree was good for food.
When she saw it was good. Read.
And that it was pleasant for the eye. Pleasant to the eyes.
It was pleasant to the eyes because she saw it. She got what she wanted. Okay. She learned this isn't about food. This isn't an apple. That's a lie. Okay. We're going to prove that. Go ahead.
And a tree to be desired to make one wise.
Mm-hmm.
She took of the fruit thereof and did eat.
Mm-hmm.
And gave also unto her husband with her.
So she also went to her husband and did what?
And with her, and he did eat.
And he did eat. How did he eat? Because he learned the same thing she did. Because she took it to him. She showed him. Read.
And the eyes of them both were opened.
What verse on?
Verse 7.
Go ahead.
And they knew that they were naked.
Mm-hmm.
And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons.
Okay, so they weren't walking around literally naked. They were ashamed. They were ashamed of the sin. They were ashamed of what they did. They tried to cover up their sin. It's like when you're a kid and you did something that you weren't supposed to do. Somebody asks you, okay, did you do that? And you try to figure out a way out of it. Okay. You try to cover up the sin. And that's what they did. That's why they, the scriptures speak that way in a parable. Read on.
And they heard the voice of Yahweh Elohim walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahweh Elohim amongst the trees of the garden. And Yahweh Elohim called unto Adam and said unto him, Where art thou? Verse 10. And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. And he said, Who told thee that thou was naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat? And the man said, The woman whom thou gavest to be with me.
He said, what?
The woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat.
The woman that you gave me, she gave it to me, and I ate. So meaning she taught me. She showed me how to do it. She brought it to me. The woman you gave me. Read on.
And Yahweh Elohim said unto the woman, What is that thou hast done? And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me.
The serpent did what?
Beguiled me.
He beguiled her.
And I did eat.
And I did eat. So she did learn it. Let's prove when you're talking about eating, they're not talking about literal food. Let's prove that. Let's get Matthew chapter 7, verse 15. Okay, go ahead and bring that out, son.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 15.
Hold what you got right there. Go ahead.
Beware of false prophets.
Read that again.
Beware of false prophets.
Read it again.
Beware of false prophets.
Beware of false prophets. Read.
Which come to you in sheep's clothing.
Uh-huh.
But inwardly they are ravening wolves.
Inwardly they are ravening wolves. The first thing the Messiah said is beware of false prophets. Why? Because they're liars. They're snakes. They're serpents. They got the Native American Indians used to call the so-called white man the fork-tongued devil. Why? Because he's a liar. Okay, read.
Verse 16.
Mm-hmm.
You shall know them by their fruits.
You shall know them by their fruits. Read.
Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit.
Even so, what?
Every good tree bringeth forth good fruit.
Every good tree bringeth forth good fruit. Read.
But a corrupt tree.
But what?
But a corrupt tree.
But a corrupt tree. Read.
Bringeth forth evil fruit.
Bringeth forth evil fruit. Read on.
A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit.
A good tree can't bring forth evil fruit, and an evil tree can't bring forth good fruit. Read.
Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire.
Read.
Wherefore, by their fruits ye shall know them.
By their fruits you're going to know them. Adam and Eve knew what was taught of them. It wasn't food. Okay, they learned something. They learned doctrine. They learned things they shouldn't have known about. All right, they were taught things that they had no business dealing with. All right, now we're going to go back to Genesis. Let's go back to Genesis, and let's put it this way: how can you eat from somebody else's tree? You eat from somebody else's tree by learning from them. That's how you eat from somebody else's tree. You ever heard of a bad apple? Y'all heard of a bad apple?
Yeah.
What's the saying? A bad apple what?
A bad apple.
It's been a long time since I heard that.
That's an old school saying. But a bad apple ruins the bunch.
Yeah, there it is.
Right? It ruins the bunch. How does a bad apple ruin a bunch? Because the bunch is around the bad apple.
Right.
And they start taking on what the bad apple does, right? Okay. That's the saying, and that's why I said that way. Okay. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 3. We're gonna go back to chapter 3, verse 14. We'll pick up from there.
Okay. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 14.
Mm-hmm.
And Yahweh Elohim said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field.
Mm-hmm.
Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life.
Mm-hmm. And that's the whole point, that you have a serpent out here who works from the belly. They are the worst of the worst. They are the low of the low. You see a certain group of people out here, that's all they do, is the worst of the worst and the lowest of the low. Go ahead.
And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception.
Wait, I will what?
Greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception.
If you look that up, greatly multiply thy sorrow in conception, meaning when they have children. If you look that up, Black and Hispanic women die more in America through childbirth than they do in third world countries. Look those stats up. They die more right here in childbirth than they do in third world countries, where they don't even have doctors. Okay, read on.
In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children.
In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children. Go ahead.
And thy desire shall be to thy husband.
That what?
Thy desire shall be to thy husband.
Thy desire shall be to thy husband. That's why you have all of these bridezilla shows. That's why you got all of these dress for the dress. I don't know what it's called. You know, I don't know what it's called, but it's wedding shows. All of these reality shows about women getting married, looking for a husband, The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, right? You got all of these different shows because the desire is, women desire a husband. No matter what they say, no matter what they want to portray, they desire a husband. 9 times out of 10, women are desiring a husband. And it has to do with this judgment right here. Read that part again.
And thy desire shall be to thy husband,
Uh-huh.
and he shall rule over thee.
He shall what?
Rule over thee.
He shall what?
Rule over thee.
He shall rule over thee. You got a dictionary?
The dictionary.
Yeah, get an online dictionary. Get the you
said the Oxford.
Yeah, let's get the Oxford. Okay. That word desire. Let's look up that word desire. Your desire shall be to your husband. Okay. See what you got for that, for desire. Let's see what that means. Matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do? Let me see. Oh, you got that. I'm going to see if I can pull it up in the blue letter. Okay. You got something? What you got?
Yes.
What you got?
Okay. Desire. Now, a strong wish to have or do something.
What is it?
A strong wish to have or do something.
A strong wish to have or do something. What else you got?
There's some examples. It says enough money to satisfy all your desires, a desire for something, a strong desire for power, desire to do something. She felt an overwhelming desire to return home. As a formal, I have no desire, I do not want. And another one, he has expressed a desire to see you.
Okay. So,
there's a second one, actually.
There's a second one. What you got?
It's a desire for somebody.
A desire for what?
A desire for somebody.
A desire for somebody. There's the most powerful one right there. Now, I'm going to share my screen right here. And I'm just going to go into the blue letter so we can kind of take a look at this. So I'm going to put it up on the screen. And well, okay, got it. Okay, so we got Genesis chapter 3, and we're going to go into this word, desire.
Strong's H8669. Teshuka.
Okay. So let's see what this a strong desire for somebody. Now let's see what we have in here. A desire, a longing, a craving. A man for a woman for a man, a beast to devour. Okay, so basically what we're looking at here, Israel, is we're looking at desire, meaning to need your husband. Okay, meaning a need for your husband. Your feelings, when you start to think about the meaning of this and you look these meanings up when it comes to desires, this is about your need for your husband. That's really what it is. Okay, your emotions put you in a position to be fooled. That's what happened to Eve. When you read about what happened with her, it was her senses. It was the things that she was feeling for. Okay, your husband doesn't have those itty bitty emotions about everything that you care about. Okay, because as women, let's face it, y'all care about everything. Y'all can think about 20,000 things at one time, and you got to care about them because they're on your mind. Your husband's not going to think that way. He's not going to care about every single emotion that you care about. He's not going to be fooled into his feelings over everything that you know. Why? Because your husband doesn't care about everything. As men, we don't care about all of those things. Okay, there's certain things that we will care about, true enough. But when it comes down to it, this is why you need him. It's a balance. And this is why the Most High designed you that way. This is why he designed men that way. Okay. Your husband, if he's grounded, he'll make good decisions. Okay. You know, and when you start to talk about ruling over you, according to the scripture, read the end of that, verse 16. Read that.
And he shall rule over thee.
He shall what?
Rule over thee.
Your husband's gonna rule over you. Let's look that up.
Okay.
Look up that definition. Let's go. Let's get that too. Yeah. That's verse 16, right? Go ahead.
Yeah.
What you got? Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's the noun.
Mm-hmm.
One of a set of explicit or understood regulations or principles.
Wait, read that slower.
One of a set of explicit or understood regulations or principles governing conduct.
Governing what?
Governing conduct.
Governing conduct. Read.
Or procedure within a particular area of activity.
See that? Let me share my screen right here. Governing conduct. Okay. Governing conduct. See, people sometimes take some of these words in the scriptures and make them mean something bad. Rule is not someone ruling over you is not necessarily a bad thing all the time. Okay. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Yahweh Shai, who the world really calls Jesus Christ. He's our example in all things. He rules over us, and the Most High rules over him. He's pretty much our example, our big brother. Okay, we are following him, and I wanna get that in the Hebrew, mashal, which is to rule, have dominion, to reign, have dominion, to cause the rule to exercise dominion. Okay. And when you look down at the primitive root, you start to talk about governor, indeed, reign, bear, to cause, have, rule, have power. Read that part again. Read that verse one more time.
The whole verse 16.
Yeah. Read verse 16.
Unto woman he said, I will multiply thy sorrow and thy conception.
Mm-hmm.
In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee.
And he shall rule over thee. You understand? When you start talking about the rules, see, your husband is there to ask you questions like, where you going? Who you going with? Who are you there for? Who's gonna be around? All right. How you gonna get there? Nah, you can't go around them. Your husband's gonna be there to do that. Why? Because your husband's there to stop you when you're going to have too much fun for yourself. Your husband's there for that. Okay. It's a balance. Okay. Someone having control or rule over you is not necessarily a bad thing. Okay. Because if you're not in control, you're out of control. This is the whole point. Okay. Read verse 17.
Verse 17. And unto Adam, he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the Salakia, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife.
Because what?
Thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife.
Because you listen to your wife instead of listening to me. Read.
And hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying.
So you listen to her instead of listening to me. Read.
Thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake, and sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life.
So cursed is the ground, what?
The ground for thy sake.
And
sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life.
Does that sound like his wife helped him to have a better life? I want y'all to think about it. But if your husband, if your wife does not help you have a better life, then you got problems. You're having problems. These are problems that he had here from the Most High because he listened to her instead of the Most High. And that was his doing. And this was his judgment. Okay. For what he did. All right. And and you got to figure when in this case, she didn't make his life better because it said that curse is going to be the ground. See, because of the sin, death came into the world. Because of this sin with Adam, death came into the world. We were not created to die until sin came into the world. Okay, and sin is the transgression of the law. He was given the law and he went against it. And he basically listened to her. It made life harder, and she dishonored him by doing that. How did she do that? By not submitting to what he told her, because he told her what the law was, because she repeated it. She said it. Okay, but she didn't listen. She didn't do it. He didn't do it. All right, and these are things that we have. The story of Adam and Eve, when you take the Christianity out of it and you look at it for what it is, a man and a wife, the roles of a man and a wife, we can learn a lot from that. We can learn a lot from Adam, because y'all got to understand, Adam and Eve didn't have examples of each other. They didn't have the examples that we're reading here today. They probably would have learned something different. They would have made different decisions. Okay. I think we got a not sure. Is that one of the curses? The one it wasn't a curse, sis. It's actually a judgment. It was actually a judgment, not a curse. Okay, it was actually a judgment for transgression of the law. So Eve got her judgment, as far as women got their judgment, men got their judgment for not obeying. Okay, so it wasn't a curse. All right. Let's get Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22. Let's see. I want you to get Hebrews 13, 17. Okay. Go ahead and bring that out whenever you got it. Ephesians 5 and 22.
Okay, Con.
Go ahead and bring that up.
This is a book, Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22. Mm-hmm. Wives, submit yourself unto your own husbands, as unto Yahweh.
Read it as it's read. Read it from the top.
Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands, as unto the Lord.
Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands, as unto the Lord. Okay? Because if you don't obey the Lord and submit to your husband, then you go ahead and just do what you want to do. You don't care about the Lord. Go ahead and run the street, jump from bed to bed. You want to go out here and fight, be a fighter, be a drunkard, be a whore. Nobody, it doesn't matter if you don't care about the Lord. Okay. That's why I say I'm not speaking to women who don't care about the Lord, who don't want to be wives, who want to be single for the rest of their lives, who want to jump from bed to bed. I'm not talking to you. Okay. I'm speaking to women who are wives and want to be better wives for their husbands, and to women who want to be wives and be in righteousness with the Most High, with the Heavenly Father. Read verse 22 again.
Verse 22. Wives, submit yourself unto your own husband, as unto the Lord.
But if you're ready, see, here's the thing. If you're ready to submit to the Lord, you must obey your husbands according to the word, according to the scriptures. Okay. It doesn't matter that you're smarter than him. It doesn't matter that you make more money than he does. It doesn't matter that you got a bigger house than he does. Okay. The minute that you become his wife, the law applies to you. Okay. Regardless, it applies to you. Go ahead, read verse 23.
Verse 23.
Mhm.
For the husband is the head of the wife,
Mhm.
even as Hamashiach is the head of the church.
So the husband is the head of the wife, just like Christ is the head of the church. Read on.
And he is the savior of the body.
That's right. Read on.
Therefore, as the church is subject unto Hamashiach,
Just like the church is subject unto the Messiah. Read.
so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything.
In what?
In everything.
In what?
In everything.
In everything. Everything means everything. All right. Everybody understand? Everything means everything. Okay. Let the wives be in subjection to their own husbands in everything. See, because we got a culture in this country of women hating their husbands. Not all, but a lot of women who are just completely rogue, out of order, and hate their husbands. Okay. I mean, I did a class on the men a couple of weeks ago and clearly brought out, if you're not capable as a man to lead a marriage, leave her alone. If you're a woman, now I'm talking to the women, if you're a woman who is damaged, still working on healing, still working on yourself, don't open your legs. Don't lay down with that man. Don't get involved with him. Okay? Don't date man to man to man to man and damage yourself. Stay out of those situations. Okay? Until you're ready to commit. Okay? Till you're ready to say, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm ready to submit to my husband. The Most High sent me the right man. Blah, blah, blah. On and on and on. Move forward in that direction. Don't sit here and say, well, I'm just going to mess with who I want to mess with. I like this man. I like that one. I like his face. I like his money. I like his meat. I like his car. And I like his house. Okay. I saw a brother online talk about Frankenstein. Women create these monsters, these pieces of men that you put together. Don't do that. That's not going to profit you anything. You take the good with the bad. And see, with men, it's easier for us to do that because men are a lot more simple than when it comes down to particulars. Women are a little bit more, how would I say, complicated when it comes to particulars because women are very particular about a lot of things. That makes things more difficult to deal with. Okay. So she got it. All right. Okay. Let me let's see. Okay. Sis had a good question. So sis, so initially God's plan was for them to walk. Initially, yeah, that's a good question. Initially, there wouldn't be a need for a certain order because sin wasn't in the world. Once sin entered into the world, there has to be an order. So things changed. Okay. That's why the Most High set things up the way he set them up, because he saw what we were capable of. Okay. Not that he didn't know, but once you see it, there it is. Judgments have to come out. Things have to change. Okay. And that's really, that's really what happened in the garden. Okay. Sister, she got it. All praise. All right. Brother brought out a scripture. Make sure we get that up. All praise. So when we start talking about submission is not based on what a man can make a woman do. Okay. The submission comes from the woman giving the power or giving the authority of the man to rule over her. The law says what it says, but the woman ultimately has to submit. I tell the sisters in the congregation all the time, you have the power. You actually have the power until you get married. Until you lay down with this man, you have the power. These brothers can get out here They can talk all the rah-rah they want. I love my brothers, but a lot of my brothers is off. They can talk all the rah-rah they want about women. But until women submit to these men, they do not have any power over you. You have to give your power up. You have to yield your power. And that's why you don't jump from bed to bed. That's why when you lay down with him, you lay with him, you stay with him. Okay? That's the way it goes. That's the order. That's what the scriptures say. Okay? Let's get Hebrews 13 and 17. Okay? Let's get that one. Go ahead and bring that out whenever you got it.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 13, verse 17.
You got to read up, son.
All right. Obey them that have the rule over you.
Wait, cite that scripture again.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 13, verse 17.
Uh-huh.
Obey them that have the rule over you,
Mm-hmm.
and submit yourselves, for they watch for your souls.
For they what?
For they watch for your souls.
They watch for your souls. Read.
As they that must give account.
As they that must give account. Those that watch over your souls must give account. Read that from the top.
Verse 17. Obey them that have the rule over you.
Obey them that have the rule over you. Read.
And submit yourselves. For they watch for your souls.
Mm-hmm.
As they that must give account.
They must give account. Those that watch over the souls must give account. Just because you understand that the law says that your husband has rule over you, he has to give account. His accountability level is different than yours. You understand? There's going to be different questions asked of me than my wife. You understand? Because I have to give a certain level of accountability that she doesn't. Read on.
That they may do it with joy.
That they may do it with joy. That we can rule over you with joy. Go ahead.
And not with grief.
And not with grief. Because if you're ruling over something and you're doing something, if you're leading something with grief, read.
For that is unprofitable for you.
It's not going to be good for you. If you're leading something with grief, it's not going to be good for you. You're not going to be happy. It's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a fight. And it's going to feel like lording over you. It's going to feel like oppression. That is not profitable for you. That's why you don't make it hard for your man to rule over you. You submit to your husband. You submit to him. He does what he's supposed to do. It's a harmony. It works straight like that. Okay. Give me 1 Peter 3 and 6 and Ecclesiasticus 8 and 17. With that one. Everybody's in the chat. Shalom, shalom. Yahweh Shem Shabbat. Please like and love the class. Get them thumbs up. Get them thumbs up, family. We sure appreciate it. Go ahead and bring it out, son.
This is the book of 1 Peter, chapter 3, verse 6.
Uh-huh.
Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham.
Wait, read that again.
Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham.
Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham. Read.
Calling him Lord.
Calling him what?
Lord.
Calling him Lord. Read.
Whose daughters ye are,
Mhm.
as long as ye do well.
As long as you do well, you're a daughter of Sarah. She called her husband Lord, which is just another way of saying king. She considered him the same way she considered the Most High. Read.
And are not afraid with any amazement.
You shouldn't be afraid to submit to your husband with all subjection in everything. You shouldn't be afraid of doing that. Because let me tell you something. Sisters, if y'all are afraid to submit to that man, you shouldn't be with him. Shouldn't be with him. That's not who you should be with. But if you're not afraid to submit and you're ready to submit with all subjection in righteousness, you do that in everything. In everything. That's the righteous way to do things. That's the order of marriage. Okay? It's about help. It's about the woman helping the man. The man's supposed to lead. The man's the strength. He's supposed to be leading the relationship. We live in a society that tells you that the women are supposed to lead. And that's a lie. Women weren't sent off to war. The men were. For a reason. This is the order that the Most High set up. I didn't set this up. The Most High set it up. And when you start talking about marriage, you got to figure, where do we get the understanding of marriage? Where's the first understanding of marriage? In the Bible. Not from the government, but in the Bible. Okay? Read what you got, son.
This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 8, verse 17.
Okay, so if this is your first time joining us, let me pull this out real quick. Hold what you got. Young Prince is reading from the Apocrypha, which are the hidden books. Okay. The books that connect the so-called Old Testament with the New Testament. We're reading the book of Ecclesiastes. Site where you at?
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 8, verse 17.
Read.
Consult not with a fool, for he cannot keep counsel.
Consult not with a fool. You don't need to consult with people that are fools. That are fools. Okay. They can't keep counsel. They can't counsel you with nothing. They can't help you with nothing. You do not counsel with fools. And you know who a fool, you know what a fool is. All right. That's pretty straight and narrow. Okay. Stay in Ecclesiastes. Give me chapter 37, verse 12. Okay. Ecclesiastes 37 and 12. All praises, all praises.
This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 37, verse 12. But be continually with a godly man. Be continually with a godly man. Read. Whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Lord. Who thou know. You know he keeps the commandments of the Lord. Right? That means he's governed. He's governed. He's not ruling over himself. See, the ones that don't keep the commandments, they don't have no boundaries. They're lawless. They don't want nobody telling them nothing. They don't want no correction. They don't have any boundaries. They do not care. Okay, read that from the top. Ecclesiastes chapter 37, verse 12. But be continually with a godly man. Be continually, always with a godly man. Read. Who now knows to keep the commandments of the Lord. You know he keeps the commandments. Why? Because if he's keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments, then he's going to govern himself right, and he's going to lead you right. Read. Whose mind is according to thy mind. His mind is according to your mind. Read. And will sorrow thee if thou shalt miscarry. He's going to feel sorry for you if something happens. He's going to actually care if something happens bad to you or if you fail in something. Read. And let the counsel of thine own heart stand. Okay, so once you take that counsel, let your decisions in your heart stand. You still got to make that decision, okay, on what you're going to do as a man and a woman, okay? Whether you're counseling with your husband, whether you're counseling with a congregation, whoever you're counseling with, you got to let your heart stand on that counsel one way or another, okay? Don't tarry. Make your mind up and move in that way. Read on. For there is no man more faithful unto thee than it. For a man's mind is sometime wont to tell him more than 7 watchmen that sit above in a high tower. And above all this, pray to the Most High that he will direct thy way in truth. That he will what? That he will direct thy way in truth. Read. Let reason go before every enterprise. And counsel before every action. And what? And counsel before every action. And counsel before every action. I counsel before every decision that I make. Counsel before every action, men and women. You need to counsel before every action that you make. Okay? If you're a married woman, counsel with your husband. Husbands should counsel with their wives and should have mighty men of the Lord over them, above them, either in rank or elders. In years that they can fellowship with and that they can counsel with, okay, for wisdom's sake. For wisdom's sake, they should have these men in their lives, okay? They should have these men in their lives. And if they don't, you need to seek that out, okay? Let's get, give me Proverbs 15 and 22. And give me Psalms 83 and 2. Hold Psalms 83 and 2. Okay. Because
And I'm always going to say this. Never hesitate for counsel. And that's the purpose of honestly being part of a congregation, being part of a body. It's counsel. It's all through the scriptures. Talking to you about counsel. Okay? Read what you got, Prince.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 15, verse 22. Without counsel.
Without what?
Without counsel.
Purposes
are disappointing.
Without counsel, purposes are disappointing. Okay? Read.
But in the multitude of counselors, they are established.
In the multitude of the different counselors, your purposes are established. And I'm not talking about you going to a so-called white woman, so-called white man that's going to sit there and take up all your money and call it counseling. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about counseling with real men and women of the Lord who actually, if you're part of our congregation, you come to us for counsel, it costs you nothing but time. Okay? That's part of our service to the Most High. That's the way it should be. And our counsel is based on laws, statutes, and commandments and hearing the whole matter. So you can consider all things. Okay? That's why that's why without counsel, your purposes are disappointed. Okay? Jump over to Proverbs 11 and 14. Because this is why. This is
the book of Proverbs, chapter 11, verse 14.
Where
no counsel is, the people fall.
Read it again.
Where no counsel is, the people fall.
Where no counsel is, the people fall. Read.
But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety.
Read that from the top. Pay attention, Israel. Read that from the top.
Where no counsel is, the people fall.
No, cite the scripture.
Proverbs chapter 11, verse 14. Where no counsel is, the people fall.
Where no counsel is, the people fall. Read.
But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety.
It's all through the scriptures. It's all through the scriptures. And the daughters of Zion got to come back to their first estate, which is being the helpmeets of the men of Israel. You got to come back to that. Okay? Listen, if our oppressors are taking crafty counsel, having meetings in boardrooms across the globe to oppress us, then we damn sure need to take counsel to defeat those wicked ways of the heathen. All right. This is how we rededicate ourselves, because I want the scripture. This is what the scriptures call us to do, is to rededicate ourselves, is to come back into counsel. Okay. Bring out what you got, Prince. What you got?
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 83, verse 2.
Okay. See, so when we start talking about the oppressor having taken counsel with each other, this is all through the scriptures. Now, you all know that. This is just on a worldly basis. You all can understand that. You all know that all these other nations have a seat at the table and at the UN. Our people don't have a seat at the table in the UN, but they all get to make decisions on what they're going to do. But we're the children of Israel, and we don't have one seat. Why? Because it's about oppressing you and keeping you from living the best part of your life that you're trying to live. So you have to have counsel to defeat that. Okay. Especially if you're in a marriage, or especially if you're getting ready to grow into one. Okay. Let's prove it. Go ahead. Read that, Prince.
All right. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 83, verse 2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
They have taken crafty counsel against the people of the Lord. Read.
And consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation.
Come and what?
Cut them off from being a nation.
Let's cut them off and keep them from being a nation. Let's make sure they don't know who they are. Read.
That the name of Israel.
That the name of what?
Israel.
That the name of what?
Israel.
That the name of Israel. Read.
Maybe no more in remembrance.
That's why y'all think y'all are African Americans. That's why y'all think y'all are Mexicans. That's why y'all think y'all are Indians. Because this crafty counsel's whole job is to make sure that the name Israel would no longer be in remembrance. So you would know that this is your book and these are your records. Read on.
Verse 5. For they have consulted together with one consent.
They're all on one accord. Read.
They are confederate against thee.
They're all confederate. They're all together against the Most High. Read.
The tabernacles of Edom.
The tabernacles of who?
Edom.
Edom, the so-called white man, is the first one listed in this crafty council. Read.
And the Ishmaelites.
And the Ishmaelites. These are the Arabs. Read.
Of Moab.
Of Moab. These are the Chinese. Read.
And the Hagarenes.
And the Hagarenes. All of these nations, when you read Psalms 83, you will read all of these nations that are confederate against the Lord and his people. So God has enemies. And guess what? That means his people have enemies. Whether you want to love everybody or not, it don't matter. You have enemies. There's no way around it. And those enemies want to attack marriage, because that's the first thing that you want to accomplish in building a home is a marriage. So if you want to start a family as a woman, I would suggest that you seek out counsel. Because without counsel, this crafty counsel is going to destroy that family. If you're a woman that wants to start a clothing store, okay, get counsel. Because there's a counsel out there to make sure that your clothing store fails. Get counsel. Y'all understand that? There's always a counsel against you and your people. So you must seek out counsel to combat that. All right? That's what this is about. Let's get Ecclesiasticus 36 and 24. Let's go ahead and jump into that one real quick. And I want you to go to Esther 2 and 1.
This is the book of Ecclesiasticus.
Read up, son.
Chapter 36, verse 23, you said?
24.
24.
Mhm.
He that getteth a wife.
He that what?
Getteth a wife.
Take your time. He that getteth a wife. Read.
Beginneth a possession.
Begetteth a what?
Beginneth a possession.
Begetteth a possession. Read.
A help like unto himself.
A what?
A help like unto himself.
A help like unto himself. Read.
And a pillar of rest.
No, a pillar of stress.
And a pillar of rest.
A pillar of rest. You understand that? If you have a possession, don't you take care of that possession? Don't you take care of that possession? If you got something, you take care of it. You don't abuse it. You don't throw it away. You don't destroy it. You're responsible for that possession because it's yours. Those are the things that you got to understand when it comes down to marriage. There's an order. And there's accountability for everybody that's involved. Okay? Now, my question about Esther. Everybody heard about Esther. Okay? Everybody's heard the name Esther in the Bible. Does anybody know what was so special about Esther to the king? If you don't know, you're going to learn. Because Esther has a very unique story in the Bible. This king, or this heathen king, that has, that was ruling at the time. He was in a certain situation in his kingdom that is very, very pertinent to this lesson. Okay, you find it?
Esther, what?
Chapter 1.
Chapter 1.
Right.
Okay,
No, Esther 2 and 1.
Okay, 2 and 1.
Mm-hmm.
This is the book of Esther, chapter 2, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
After these things.
No, Salakia. Start at verse 1. Chapter 1, verse 1. We're going to start at chapter 1, verse 1.
Chapter 1, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus. Ahasuerus.
Go ahead.
This is Ahasuerus, which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 127 provinces. That in those days, when the king Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan, the palace, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces, being before him.
Jump to verse 10.
Verse 10. On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine.
When his heart was merry with wine, right? He was happy. He was turned up. Go ahead.
He commanded Mahuman, Bistah,
Go ahead.
Harbonah, Bigtha, and Habakta, Zatar, and Carcass, the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus, the king.
Give him a hand. Give him a hand. Give him a hand. Go ahead.
Verse 11. To bring Vashti, the queen, before the king with the crown royal, to shew the people and the princess her beauty, for she was fair to look on.
Okay, so now here's the king, all turned up, right? Turned up, he getting it in, him and the princess, they partying, they having a great time. All right, now bring in the queen, so y'all can see how bad my girl is, because she was fair to look on, right? Check this out. Read verse 12.
But the queen Vashti refused.
She did what?
Refused
Go ahead.
to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlain.
She said, "No, I'm good." Told the king, "I'm good." Go ahead.
Therefore was the king very wroth.
So he was pissed off. Go ahead.
And his anger burned in him.
Go ahead.
Verse 13. Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the time, for so was the king mannered toward all that knew law and judgment.
Take your time. Go ahead.
And the next unto him was Karshinah, Shethar, Admatha, Tarshish, Merez, Marsanah, and Memucan, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face.
They saw his face. These are the princes of Persia and Media. It wasn't just the king, it was the princes of Persia. And they saw his face when she said, "Nah, I'm good." Boy, I bet you the king about fell out, man. Go ahead.
And which sat the first in the kingdom. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to the law? Because she had not performed the commandment of the king Ahasuerus by the chamberlains. And Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti the queen hath not done wrong to the king only.
So she didn't just do the king wrong, read.
But also to all the princes.
She did the princes wrong too by not showing up. Because when you're called by the king, you obey. Okay, go ahead.
And to all the people that are in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women.
See that? They knew that if she's acting like this, the rest of the women are going to start acting like this. This was a problem. This was a problem. Read on.
So that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes.
What verse you on?
Verse 17.
Okay, read that from the top again, verse 17.
Verse 17 from the top. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women. So that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes. When it shall be reported, the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not.
She's going to be causing all the women to start hating their husbands. Everybody see that? Read on.
Likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes, which have heard of the deed of the queen. Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath, if it please the king let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus, and let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she.
Unto what?
Another that is better than she.
They say, you know what? We're just going to make a law. We're going to give what's supposed to be hers to another woman that's better than her. That's better than her. Read.
And when the king's decree, which he shall make, shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, all the wives shall give to their husbands honor, both to great and small.
Both to great and small. Whether they had $1 million, whether they had $20,000, the wives were supposed to give honor to the husbands. Okay, this is what made Hadassah or Esther special. Let's jump to verse chapter 2, verse 1.
Chapter 2.
You want to read? You want to read? You good?
Yeah, I can
okay.
go.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Esther chapter 2, verse 1.
After
these things, when the wrath of the king Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti and what she had done, and what was decreed against her.
So he remembered after all of these things, the king remembered what his wife Vashti had done. Okay, and what was decreed against her? Go ahead.
Verse 2. Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king.
Let's go get some more women for the king. Okay, because this one ain't working out. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan, the palace, to the house of the women, unto the custody of Haggai, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women, and let their things for purification be given them. Verse 4. And let the maiden which pleaseth the king be quiet instead of Vashti.
Be queen.
Oh, Salakia.
Start from the top. Verse 4.
Verse 4. And let the maiden which pleaseth the king be queen instead of Vashti.
So the maiden, the young maiden, if you notice, now it's maiden. The maiden, which is the unmarried woman, which pleases the king, be queen instead of Vashti. They're going to replace her. They're going to replace her. Okay, go ahead.
And the thing pleased the king.
He approved of that. Go ahead.
And he did so.
And so he did it. Read on.
Verse 5. Now in Shushan, the palace, there was a certain Jew.
There was what?
A certain Jew.
Read.
Whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite.
A Benjamite. Read on.
Who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away with Jeconiah, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away.
Read on.
And he brought up Hadassah.
He brought up Hadassah. Read.
That is Esther.
That is Esther. Okay. Read.
His uncle's daughter. For she had neither father nor mother. And the maid was fair and beautiful.
She was fair and beautiful. She was an Israelite. Okay. Go ahead.
Whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter.
He took her in. Okay. He took her in when her father and mother died. Go ahead.
So it came to pass when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan, the palace, to the custody of Haggai, that Esther was brought also unto the king's house, to the custody of Haggai, keeper of the women.
So when they brought all the women together for the king, for him to choose who was going to replace his wife or the queen, Esther, came in also. Bring it home, verse 9.
Verse 9, and the maiden pleased him.
So he liked Hadassah. That pleased the king. Go ahead.
And she obtained kindness of him,
Mm-hmm.
and he speedily gave her things for purification.
He was fast to give her what she wanted. Read.
With such things as belonged to her,
Mm-hmm.
and 7 maidens,
Mm-hmm.
which were meet to be given her.
And gave her 7 maidens to work for, 7 slaves. Go ahead.
Out of the king's house,
Mm-hmm.
and he preferred her and her maids unto the best palace of the house of the women.
He preferred Hadassah. That is Esther. He preferred her maidens over any of the women in that house. Do you think that had anything to do with her being disobedient and her not doing what she was told to do as him ruling over her? No. No. She obeyed. She obeyed. She got the blessing. She saw favor in the eyes. And henceforth, when you read forth in the story of Esther, because of that favor, she actually saved our nation from being utterly wiped out because of who she was, because of her spirit, her doing what she needed to do as a woman of Yasharallah, and as a maiden, and as a queen, okay, in this land. She was an Israelite. And she submitted to her husband with all subjection, and it saved our nation. I want everybody to really understand and wrap their heads around the fact that just because what we were told in this wicked society, you got to ask yourself, is everything that we told the truth? Is everything that we were told and taught the truth? If you don't have brothers and sisters to study with, a congregation to fellowship with, like-minded people to counsel with, our email is right under the screen right here. You see our email. You can reach out to us in the chat. We'd love to have you. We'd love to talk to you. We love to counsel with you. Okay. If you all have any questions regarding any of this when it comes to marriage, please feel free to reach out to us. We have mighty strong men of the Most High and the Lord to help with counsel, to help with your issues with marriage. We're here to save our nation and work for our nation and for the Most High. Okay. Not to get any kind of vainglory. That's not what we're here for. We're here to do the work of the Most High, help raise our people up, help teach our people laws, statutes, and commandments, teach our people who they are, so we can rise up out of these ashes in these last days. Okay. I'm Captain Shazai LRA with Kingdom of Israel United Worldwide.
I'm Keen RA.
I got a little RA.
And with that, say shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.